There it is.
There's the laugh.
Yay.
Come on.
We are live on the Nutritional Edge, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming up. I've got a talk tonight at 6. Chris, I think you're going to be there, maybe.
Yep, I'm showing up. Doing it. You gotta text me that address.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll post a comment too. And then you and I have a talk tomorrow at Argenta Counseling.
Argenta Counseling. Yes, that'll be very cool. We're going to be doing like a little fireside chat theme. We're going to be basically almost kind of like, literally that. So we don't know what the crowd's going to be, what the audience is going to be like, but basically just a fireside chat of how nutrition is able to impact the role that it plays in movement, how it plays in nutrition itself, sleep recovery, mental well-being, and also overall function of a human body as well, which I think would be a really cool take on having everything. Because what gets me excited, and what's really cool is when you have those 5 things: movement, nourishment, sleep, recovery, mental well-being, and function. You can take each one of those and see how do they impact the other 4.
Yeah.
And then take another one, how to impact the other 4. Take the third one, how to impact the other 4. And they all then diagrams like crazy, the overlap, like how movement impacts nourishment, sleep, mental being, function, how nourishment impacts movement, sleep, mental being, function, how sleep impacts movement, nourishment, mental being. It keeps going on.
Yes.
I think that stuff's so fascinating. Super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for that. And we're just pretty much going off rip and showing what we know. And it won't be the last workshop we do.
No, the start of many to come.
Yeah.
Really excited. I feel like more targeted, more focused ones. You and I have been to a couple places. I don't think we presented together, but
no, we haven't.
We usually are at each other's presentations.
Yeah.
Now we're going to combine forces.
Oh, dude. we show up to each other's and we get feedback. But to be able to do that in person, it's pretty much going to be like a live podcast or a live Nutritional Edge, which is going to be super cool. We're also broadcasting this for the first time in the Nutritional Edge group, which is a first-time thing. So these lives are going to be strictly in the group and on YouTube. And if you got friends out there in the ether that want to start getting some of Nathan's tasty recipes, or maybe my very, regimented sequence of eating things and timing of eating things, get plugged into the group. It's going to be an awesome way. We have big plans in the running that will probably take multiple months to unravel, but this is our starting first roadblock, getting you guys these lives and also being on the group. Add your friends to it. It's gonna be sweet. What else I got going on? I got a birthday walk next month.
Yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
Right. Birthday is yours.
As long as anyone is invited, Nathan's gonna come.
Yes, finally.
Yeah, Nathan's scared of snow.
Right. No, I always had something come up, but I have it down. That's April 20th, 10 a.m., Two Rivers Park Bridge.
Yep. That would also be a really cool place to watch the eclipse that's going to be happening in a couple Mondays. That bridge, just because it's so open and over the river. I think it would be cool. I have some patients scheduled. I don't know if they're going to make it because they might have kids and they're probably going to want to watch the eclipse. So maybe it's just a day off work. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just know that the world is shutting down.
I'll be home avoiding Two Rivers Park and all other popular eclipse destinations, but I wish you all the best.
My goodness. What do you have anything going on scheduled up for next month yet, Nathan?
As far as talks and things like that?
What do you got going on?
Oh, well, I've got a couple lunch and learns scheduled at different doctors' offices, just going to spread the word about my services. But as far as talks, I've got one at Advanced Physical Therapy for their staff. But yeah, I don't have anything nailed down, but that's where you and I are going to be having workshops coming up. So we'll get the word out. And then something that I'm really excited about that has been going really well for both of us are challenges. So you've done some challenges, had good feedback. I've done some challenges and it's gone really well. Now we're going to combine and do Nutritional Edge challenges. That is exciting.
That's what we're rolling out. Then we're going to start getting a lot more of those out there. Another piece that I had thought of was getting other practitioners in on the show.
Yeah.
That's going to be something that we're going to start being much more consistent with. Nathan's had a couple. We've had Chrissy Jones on the show. We've also had
Tanya.
Tanya Poteet
Mhm.
with Dare Fit Mom Mel. We're gonna
Yeah.
be starting getting a lot more of them lined up and sharing their own unique taste and flavor in on just nutritional aspect itself. And if there's other things that y'all want us to go in on, just feel free to comment it. We'll probably post some polls. Like we want to be able to provide you guys um, exactly what it is that you're looking for versus us just coming up with what we think you might want to know. Like let's actually get to know what you guys want to know.
That's good.
So with that,
Yeah.
we are still stuck on not small nutrients, not mini nutrients, not tiny nutrients, but micronutrients.
Yes. The tiny things that allow you to live and function.
the necessary little buddies
I
that make
know.
us fire on all cylinders.
Yes. And if they're just slightly off, function decreases dramatically.
Okay, well let's start going down on that. How off?
Pretty minuscule, to be honest. Pretty minuscule.
So it doesn't take a lot.
It doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't necessarily take a long time depending on the nutrient. And that's where it would be great to circle back around. And I was talking about fat soluble and water soluble vitamins. Yes, there's minerals, and we started to talk about some of those. But yeah, water soluble vitamins are ones we can't store in the body. So we need a constant stream. That's your B vitamins and vitamin C. You need a constant stream of those. Same thing with minerals. We need to continue to have a constant stream of minerals because we really can't store it in places that would be readily useful. We can store things like calcium, but we really don't want to be taking our bones and breaking them down and leaching out calcium. We can, but in general, vitamins that are water soluble and minerals, we want a constant supply. Fat soluble vitamins we can store. So we can, it takes a little bit longer to run out of those, but if we're run out, then that's not a good sign too, because it takes longer to replenish.
It takes longer to replenish fat soluble.
It does. Yes. So a great example would be vitamin D. Well, because we, like for instance, vitamin D is very much like a hormone. Its structure looks like a hormone. Yes, it's labeled a vitamin, but it impacts hormones. And in order to provide enough vitamin D for the whole body, it needs to be kind of permeated throughout our fat stores. So if we are depleted in that, then it's going to take a lot of vitamin D supplementation to get back to normal. So they'll typically give people a lot higher than the daily dose. So if the daily dose is somewhere between 600 and 2000 IUs, which stands for international units, they might give someone 50,000 once a week for a period of time. So yes, we need a constant stream of these micronutrients. And what's interesting is old research studies back when there wasn't very much ethical criteria. So kind of experiments we don't do anymore, but somehow they were allowed to do. One in particular was a vitamin-like substance called choline, which if you know about acetylcholine, if you're a scientific nerd, choline
if you know anything about the parasympathetic nervous system, you'll know about acetylcholine.
Acetylcholine, extremely, yeah. So choline, the kind of vitamin-like substance, they decided, well, let's just stop feeding humans choline and see what happens. See if there's anything that happens. Well, they developed liver disease pretty quickly. They gave them choline as a supplement back into their diet, and the liver disease went away. So it's incredible what micronutrients can do for the body and what happens if we don't have them.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Can you imagine trying to get that research study passed? We're just going to stop feeding someone a vitamin. Now we have the IRB, Institutional Review Board or something that, you can't do studies like that, thankfully.
Well, dude, I was just reading a section in the book called Breath, where the experimenter, I think his name was Henderson or Hudson. It wasn't Bohr, but they're trying to figure out like the role of oxygen and carbon dioxide in humans. And they basically controlled air into dogs. and measured their heart rate and their blood pressure and how all of those vitals responded towards too much oxygen and too little oxygen.
Yeah.
And they fared worse when we had too much oxygen going into their lungs. It was too much. That was the problem,
Mm.
causing them to breathe faster. And that put them in such a stressed state that their oxygen
Right.
saturation actually went down. Whereas when we breathe less, we will still maintain a high level of oxygen saturation in our blood, and we'll
Yeah.
get more oxygen offloaded into our red blood cells.
Mm.
Um, it was pretty crazy when they do little like manipulations of physiology like that and seeing what the outcome is. And some dogs passed away, some dogs died during this experience, which is
Oh my
awful.
gosh.
Yeah,
Man, that stinks.
bad.
And so breathing out too, it's like how important is breathing out carbon dioxide in relation to also breathing in oxygen? Because I know you've talked a lot about breathing out, focusing on breathing out sometimes is also important, maybe even more important than the breathing in. Or I
Mm-hmm.
could be wrong.
Yeah, no, that's what all these studies in this book are highlighting and annotating, is that it's not necessarily as important as breathing in, but
Right.
breathing out is actually has a far greater impact on our blood pressure, our heart rate, our oxygen saturation, and actually getting our oxygen from our red blood cells into our cells. That's the
Mm.
main thing. And so that occurs when we have an increased amount of carbon dioxide in our body. That can only happen if we're breathing less. And if we're
Mm.
also holding our breath longer, we're going to get a buildup of carbon dioxide, which is kind of like that burning feeling in like
Mhm.
your chest and your abdomen. It's like, oh, I need to exhale and get this out of here. That if you lean into that and spend
Yeah.
more time in that, you'll get more oxygen offloaded from your red blood cells into your cells, and thus your cellular function is actually going to increase. So when we're running or when we're riding our bike, when our heart rate's really up, try breathing slower
Mm.
instead of trying to. That's actually going to make it harder for you, and your muscles are going to burn out quicker. Whereas if you
Mm.
try to, even though you're sprinting, still trying to breathe slow during it, you'll actually go longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You'll go farther, which is
I also
crazy.
heard the study where they had runners smile during the race and they ran a little bit faster. Have you heard that one?
What?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. I'll share it with you. It's they were trying to figure out if it was the most crazy sounding study. They had runners who the control group, they didn't do anything different, and they had people smile as they ran,
Mm.
convincing their brain that this isn't as hard. And
Oh,
they completed it a little bit faster.
what?
Yeah. Mind over
Okay.
matter, man.
Shoot.
Isn't that
All
crazy?
right. Especially
Yeah.
whenever this stuff sucks. Smile.
Yes. Can we convince
That's pretty
ourselves a
much what
little
we're
bit?
getting.
And that, I always love your stats about like negative thoughts and
Mm.
helping our brain and our mind to remember to reframe thoughts and to try to
Mm-hmm.
find more positive ways, not to necessarily silver lining things. It's okay to have negative thoughts and we need to process those in a healthy way. But yeah, just something as simple as smiling while you ran made people run a
Well,
little bit
that's
faster.
like that's the concept of like changing the lens in which you are perceiving the thing at. Right, like right now we're doing a show. We're doing a live stream. We set aside every noon to about from 12 to 12:30 on Thursdays. Nathan and I are sitting down doing the show. Now, say hypothetically, like that doesn't change. That is a constant. But say hypothetically, I came into the show thinking, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Then that entire time that we're doing the show, I'm going to be thinking or giving off, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Or if I come into this thinking, I enjoy this, this is fun, this is awesome, I'm going to enjoy it and have a good time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and that's like, this doesn't change. This does not change. That's the same thing with food.
Mm.
Eating healthy. I'm going to eat a salad today. I can come out and dread and be like, shoot, I have to eat a dang salad. Or it could be like, let's go. I get to eat a salad.
Yep.
And like that whole just shift little tweak, it does it does so much more than just like get you jazzed up in that moment. That's a really awesome concept. Like when you're in mile 5 of a run, actually it's probably more so like mile 1, maybe mile 1 or
It
mile
would be
2,
for me.
where you're really having that those thoughts where it's like, man, this really sucks. Just smile at somebody, and they'll probably be like, this guy's sadistic.
Yeah, this guy loves pain. He
when
doesn't-
you are really beat up, just give a smile. And
yeah.
but then it's like, is that genuine or is it a mask?
Mm, yep.
Where you
One
taking
one
it?
thing about that concept that I really encourage families with kids who are they're trying to get them to eat healthier, and definitely didn't come up with this concept, but um, introducing choice and reframing the situation so that hey, you need to eat your broccoli and you can't eat your dessert until you eat your broccoli. That's the typical scenario, and they say
Right.
the kid reinforces their negative view of vegetables, and they say no, and they fight back versus flipping things around as much as you can, whether you're at the grocery store and you say, hey, we've got the protein, we've got the starch. Hey, we need a vegetable. What looks good? Like you get to choose, you get to pick. And then they grab tomato because it looks cool. And then you've reinforced a little bit more that, okay, it's their choice. They've picked that. And same thing if they're at home and you're deciding what to make, you're setting them up for success. You're giving them, let's say, 3 vegetable options. Like, okay, which one do you want? And they're like, I want the broccoli. All of a sudden, they've now said they're going to eat the broccoli. They picked it out. And not that it works 100% of the time. And it takes consistency and scheduling really helps. But psychologically, you're setting yourself up for much more success. And especially for kids, for introducing that, because all of a sudden they're very enforcing, yes, I can do that. Or yes, I'm choosing this.
Right. It's kind of like I read it was a Twitter thread today talking about when you have kids, don't just ask them, what do you want to do today? But instead ask them, do you want to go on a walk or on a bike ride?
Yep. There you go.
So you're giving them the power to pick, but it's when the confines of just 2 things. It's either or. It's like, oh, you get to pick, but it's one of these 2 things. I wonder even if it's like, hey, would you rather have your dessert or your spinach first?
Yeah.
Either way, you're going to eat both of them.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have first?
Yeah.
Now, it makes more sense to do the healthier thing first. From what I know, the main thing with that is like blood sugar, insulin spikes. What other aspects are there? Like in the actual meal, like I've heard stuff about protein, eating protein first, that helps with blood sugar. Do you have any additional like deeper insights on the actual order given in the meal that you're eating?
Yes. Yeah. And I love your bringing that up too of maybe giving kids the option, because probably parents would settle for their kids to eat broccoli in any way and at any time.
Right.
And there's a great book, and it's a really long title, but it's called How to Get Your Kids to Eat, but Not Too Much. So how to get your kids to eat, but not too much. Ellen Satter, I think, is the dietitian / psychologist that wrote that book. But yeah, the order of things in other contexts, if you're going to eat your broccoli, maybe you're an adult and you're okay with that,
right?
Then and you don't need to be kind of tricked into eating that. I would start with your protein and your fiber before your carbohydrates if you're looking to better manage your blood sugar. If you start with your carbohydrates, especially your starches, then it's going to impact your blood sugar a little bit sooner. It's not going to make to me a monstrosity, what I'm trying to think of the word, a huge difference, but it's still, I mean, yes, there has been research to show that. I don't think it's going to make a huge that's the word I was thinking, monstrous difference. No, but if you're looking for every hack you can do, if someone has prediabetes or really trying to control their blood sugar, yeah, start with your protein and veggies and fiber first, and then move on to your carbohydrates.
What else do you know about walking after a meal?
So walking after a meal depends on how quickly you ate and how vigorous of exercise. Walking after a meal helps to increase gut motility. And motility means the rate at which food moves through your GI tract. So for people with constipation or gastroparesis, which is where the stomach doesn't empty quick enough, that's a good idea because it's helping to kind of give your GI tract a nudge. You're using gravity to stimulate things. You're activating your nervous system, and your nervous system is thinking, okay, I'm increasing hormones that and things like cortisol in a good way, a little stress on the body to say, okay, we're going. And you're also exercising muscles that are right along your GI tract. So you've got your stomach's a muscle, but you've got the muscles, abdominal muscles that are around your intestines. So when you start walking, your gut typically starts moving. So for my people with loose stools or diarrhea, or they already have that problem, I would probably say you should probably rest after eating. And then for blood sugar management, if you just ingested carbohydrates and you're wanting to start to use that immediately, go for a quick walk to start utilizing that in a good way. That's a great thing for people to do.
Nice.
See, I had an answer for that.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. Yeah, the main thing I typically know is that it helps with digestion and that it helps regulate blood sugar after you eat. But also having that extra piece of like the abdominal muscles are working as you walk, which is going to help with digestion and also hormones. Having a little bit of stress, be like, hey, we need to get moving. That's good. That's good insight.
And you can also stretch. There's some really good stretching poses like twists and what are some other good ones? I think putting your legs up the wall. I can't remember all the different ones. I know forward fold. Some of these stretches are also good for gut motility. So for people that are dealing with constipation or slow guts, then yeah, stretch after meal too. Try some of those poses.
Okay, so I just had a crazy thought. So the first time I think I tried eating the surplus for my like basic needs was end of January. It's end of January. And that's when I had my mega like ground beef, potatoes, rice bucket I have at the end of the day. And I went on a walk afterwards and I got a cramp. Dude, my stomach was full.
Yeah.
Like 1,300 calories full.
Yeah.
And now I'm consuming almost, I think, maybe like 300, 400 more calories than I had been just 2 months ago. And yet I still kind of feel lean. So it's like, is my stomach expanding? Are my intestines expanding? Or are they not? Like, how does it work to be able to increase more food consumption, but your like body composition doesn't change? Like, how am I able to go on these walks and not get cramps by eating more food?
Yeah. Well, your stomach does expand. So the more volume you eat, the more it expands, and the less volume you eat, which is why people that have like a gastric surgery will have to basically starve themselves for 2 weeks, shrink their stomach. They can eat very, very low calories because then when they do the surgery, it goes in and it's easier to do. But yeah, if you're eating volume, did you, how long did you give yourself between eating and like walking?
I think I ate and probably got my shoes and clothes on and started going. And it was when I went up a hill.
Okay. Yeah.
When I went up a hill, that's when I got beat. There used to be a lot of food for me. Now it's like, I mean, it still is a lot of food for me, but I mean, I know my metabolism's gone up.
Yeah.
And so I think the way to get your metabolism up, A, exercise helps out, but also B is to eat the same consistent volume of food, same order. I know you're big on expanding like what goes into on your plate and allowing for diversity. I recently added kale back into my veggie bucket.
Nice.
So I was like, I might need some calcium and some leafy greens. So that's been nice. I've been enjoying that. But if I have to like increase weight again at some point, or increase amount, I don't know where I'm going to put that. I feel capped.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe more fruit or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You'd have to probably go with something that's easily digestible, which fruit is. A lot of times
Yeah.
people.
What hmm. Okay, so let's say an increase probably is going to be like, I don't know, 150 to 200 calories, maybe.
Yeah.
How many blueberries is that?
That's a lot of blueberries. I think a cup of blueberries is like 80 calories. Um,
Okay.
so
I have
yeah,
maybe
that's
two
like
cups of blueberries.
cup and a half of blueberries. That's not. I guess that's not too bad.
That's a lot.
Berries are back in season, and so they're cheap. They're fresh. And there's a good time to get some berries. It's always
Mm.
disappointing when fruit is not in season and I forget and I get it and I'm like, this is watery and tasteless.
That's why you get frozen berries.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have to
Hey,
worry about it.
smoothies
That's
are,
my I smash smoothies.
yeah, so important.
That's probably one of my favorite things I eat right now is I've been freezing my smoothies.
Yeah.
And then I whip it out in the morning when I wake up, and then by the time I eat it at like 10 or 11,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's hard.
Yeah.
It's a nice consistency where I can scoop it out and
Mm-hmm.
chew it. It's almost like an ice cream sorbet. It's like, oh
Mm.
man, I'm eating the best thing second. And then I start the day with cottage cheese and yogurt, and that's good too.
Oh yeah.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
That's all really good. Yeah,
Tasty.
smoothies are so underrated. You
Ooh,
can,
I got
yeah.
uh
Well, one thing I was going to say, you were talking about kale and calcium. That is something that people don't often think about. And they think of dairy as the only source of calcium. You can get calcium from plants. You can get it from kale, broccoli. Chris, do you know why you can get calcium from kale, but not so much from spinach? Nutrition quiz.
shoot. Uh
Has to do with an anti-nutrient that is high in spinach. It's also why people sometimes get kidney stones if they have too much of this.
is it hydroxyapatite?
It's oxalates. Oxalates.
So
So have
wait,
you
so
ever
which one
heard
has oxalates?
spinach has a lot of oxalates, which is
So kale
fine.
doesn't.
Kale is low in oxalates, along with
So yeah, so
broccoli.
people are freaking out about oxalates,
Yeah.
tripping on them. What the heck's an oxalate?
Oxalate is an anti-nutrient, so it's just a naturally occurring substance. Um, it probably doesn't do much to affect someone, or I should say this: 90% of people probably don't have to worry about oxalates. Maybe like 10% of the population are affected, and the ways they might be affected would be um, gastrointestinal upset. Um, I don't know some of the other ones. It could be like headaches, but um, 90% of the people don't really need to worry about it because if you're trying to decrease oxalates, you're going to decrease all of the good nutrients that you should be eating. So if you're like, oh, I shouldn't eat spinach or some legumes and things like that, then you're missing out on all the nutrients. It's not worth it. But if you're really prone to calcium oxalate stones, which is the most common form of kidney stones, then you probably shouldn't, number one, buy any of those mega green smoothie blend things or supplements because they'll have a lot of leafy green stuff and oxalates possibly. And you probably should switch to something like kale instead of spinach. Not that big of a difference, honestly. And most people are fine. But yeah, that's I don't think there's enough conclusive evidence that like oxalates are bad for us. I think oxalates tend to be in really good foods. So I just shrug my shoulders about the
So
oxalates.
so what actually is an oxalate? You might have said I might have missed it.
That's a good question. Basically, it's labeled as an anti-nutrient. By anti-nutrient, I mean something that binds to another nutrient than actual nutrient, and then we lose it. So when oxalates bind to calcium, it doesn't harm us necessarily unless we're super prone to those kidney stones. But what usually happens is we just don't absorb it and we just excrete it, and we miss out on some of the calcium.
Mm,
So that does not make spinach not an extremely healthy food. It just means that you're not going to get quite the calcium content. So what it is,
mm,
I need to look more into that. I think you could call it a phytochemical would be maybe the
right. That
definition.
makes
It's not a
sense.
protein. It's not a carbohydrate.
Yeah, it's not a mineral.
It's just a thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a random
It's
thing.
just an oxalate.
Just a thing.
Just an oxalate. Spinach is high in magnesium too, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's got magnesium. It's got high in vitamin K. It's
And
got
oxalates might prevent that. Is kale also high in magnesium and vitamin K?
that's what kale is. Kale is basically spinach minus the oxalate, so it's got all the benefits. Plus, you're gonna get more calcium, so it's a no
Mm.
brainer.
What about arugula?
I don't know. I don't remember the oxalate content of arugula, but it's again. I mean, all leafy greens to me tend to have the same types of stuff,
Same stuff.
and
Okay.
that they're similar to other green veggies like broccoli and asparagus. They all have vitamin K. They're all a little bit different. Broccoli has vitamin C, a lot more than the others. So that's why broccoli makes up a really good thing, which we were talking about pairing nutrients last time. And if you do a salad with broccoli, you get the vitamin C from the broccoli and the iron from the leafy greens. And like I said, vitamin C increases your absorption of iron by 3 times. So those crazy salads that you make, Chris, with squash and sweet potatoes and a bunch of stuff in there, it's all working together
So
to
you're saying I need to
maximize.
get broccoli back in the game?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy, I'm gonna need a
Definitely.
bigger Tupperware. Oh boy, interesting. What are my purple sweet potatoes? Purple foods.
Hmm.
I know we talked about colors. I think like a
Hmm.
month ago, but I eat a purple sweet potato and I look at the inside and it is like vibrant purple, and I'm like, this has to be good for me. This color is just it's too good for it not to be good for me.
Right.
What the heck's in it?
Um, so I think that would be anthocyanins is why it's purple. And it's also probably got resveratrol, which is good for the heart. So I'm thinking cardiovascular system, and I'm definitely the immune system. Um, Beyond that, that's a good question. I don't know. I just did that antioxidant challenge, which is a lot of fun. But
Yep.
it's just so much to remember about nutrition. It's like it's hard to hold it all right here,
Right.
somewhere
Oh
locked away in
yeah.
there.
Absolutely. Mm. Yeah, there's so much. Mm.
But yeah, definitely immune system, definitely cardiovascular system.
Yeah, the more veggies I eat, the better I feel,
Mm,
for sure.
yeah,
I tried going like light on the veggies for like 2 days, and I felt like a Pillsbury Doughboy, and I was like, no, I ain't doing this.
yeah,
So my quote unquote carnivore, even though I was still having starches and carbs, yeah, it lasted 2 days. I was like, I don't like this. I'm unapologetically an omnivore.
yeah. I
Unapologetic.
remember when I was working more with student athletes at some of the different universities, I would run into people that would say, I don't eat vegetables. The fiber just like, I don't eat all that in my gut. That just slows me down. And yeah, people miss out on all of the thoughts about the antioxidants, which is boosting everything that they're wanting, which is recovery, which is
Mm.
energy, um, stamina, quickness, brain function, muscle function, insulin sensitivity, everything you could want, you can get from vegetables and fruits. So for all the athletes out there, get your veggies and not just chicken, rice, and broccoli. You got to switch it up.
Right, right. So my veggie bucket, I have orange sweet potatoes, white sweet potatoes, the Japanese ones, and the purple ones.
Nice.
Now, are all of those slow down gut motility?
No, it's a
Just the
starchy
sweet potatoes?
vegetable. Well, like starchy vegetables are kind of the perfect package because if you're eating it with the skin on, it's got the insoluble fiber. The
Yep.
inside has the soluble fiber and starch. So it's fairly easily digested and it doesn't slow digestion. because of the skin that helps to push that. But it's not gonna be too fast. Something like sugar tends to be absorbed and stimulate the gut rapidly, which is why it's such a nightmare in conditions like dumping syndrome, where the stomach dumps too quickly into the small intestine, or frequent loose stools, chronic diarrhea. Sugar is a nightmare because it just goes right through people. Whereas, sweet potatoes would just take their time in a good way, but not take too long. If someone is having frequent loose stools, they need to see a dietitian. And I would probably start them with removing the skins and just having the soluble fiber in the middle. That is going to slow it down. So your mashed potatoes without the skin, that'll slow things down a little bit.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, I was just wondering because whenever I eat, it's like the thing I'm going to eat after this. I have a patient at 1. I'm going to see if I can eat before then. I have a can of sardines, which, I know, smells bad. It's all good though.
The good stuff.
Yep. Instead of olive oil, it tastes pretty nice. Some salt. So sardines, and then my bucket, which has kale, 4 different colored bell peppers, the 3 different colors sweet potatoes, black beans, and olive oil and vinegar. I've kind of phased out things that have seeds. Trying that out. That's actually working out pretty good for me. And that, like, when I get to the time, I eat that around like 1 typically.
Yeah.
By the time I get to my last meal around like 4:30, 5:36, I'm still full.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just like, I'm just eating it because I know I need to.
Yeah. For all those people out there wanting to maintain a healthy weight too. Yeah. Fill up on real food.
Yeah. I think I'm up about 8 pounds, 9 pounds in 2 months.
Yep.
And same body fat percentage.
Yeah. Just street muscle.
I'm trying to get there.
And you can get a free InBody at 5-Star Nutrition.
5-Star Nutrition. Yep. Go
free
there.
plug.
Those guys are great dudes. Guys are awesome. They're pretty sweet. They're very, very helpful. They love helping people too. So.
And that InBody, which measures your body fat percentage, muscle, and hydration, is one of the more accurate ways of measuring body fat percentage. So if you're trying to get metabolism numbers and figure out if you're meeting your body composition goals, highly recommend going out there. They'll do it for free. So yeah. I think our micronutrient talk was calcium and then whatever the heck oxalate is. And someone can destroy me in the comments, be like, Nathan, come on. Could have been way off. But what it is, I can't describe it other than like a phytochemical that is an anti-nutrient, but that's all I got.
If Chris starts having some of these kind of thoughts come up, I'm not going to shy away from not asking them for the sake of the topic.
Have to ask.
There's a lot of questions. I just need reminders on stuff.
Yes.
But this was a good one.
This was good. This is all fun.
That time went by quick.
It did. It always goes by real quick.
I know.
But that's why we have every week. And we'll cover more topics and post things in the comments, people, and we will answer them.
Yep. Tune to the group. Join the group.
Yep.
The Nutritional Edge Facebook group. Come out to our walk on April the 20th. It's my birthday walk. So if you're not there, then obviously you don't care about my birthday. Workshop Friday. That'll be cool. Yep. If you haven't watched our Happier, Healthier Arkansas podcast episode, the 6th one, I think it was the first one I was on. Check it out.
Yes.
That was going to. We got to get you back on that too.
Yes, that'll be good. But yeah, see us tomorrow, Argenta Counseling at noon. Good Friday.
Yep.
We'll be talking about all things functional movement, sleep, nutrition, how to be healthier and happier.
Yep. In the pursuit of making Arkansas the happiest, healthiest state on the planet.
I would say a little shout out. Happier, healthier.
There it is.
All right.
We're signing off.
Sayonara. See you next week.
See ya.